Hello everybody. Today we are going to discuss about conditional and looping statements in Python. So whenever we need a specific block of code to be executed based on some condition, then we can go for conditional and looping statements. So conditional and looping statements are helpful in making decisions within a given program. If a particular condition is true, then a particular block of statement will be executed. If it is false, a particular block of code will be executed. Also, multiple conditions can be combined using the logical operators to execute a particular block of code. The main part we have to remember whenever we are writing a conditional looping statement is the indentation. So if you're not following the indentation while writing the conditional looping statement, it's going to throw you the error. The types of conditional control statement discussed in Python are if, if else if, nested if and ternary operator. First we'll discuss about the simple if construct. So what is the syntax? The syntax is if the test expression followed by the set of statements to be executed if the test expression is true. Generally, the if construct is also called as the selection statement. The statements within the block are executed only once when the condition is true. Okay. The body of the block is always followed by the indentation, the spacing. Indentation is always necessary whenever you're writing a conditional control statement. Next, Python interprets non-zero values as true, zero and none as false. Next, we'll see an example for the simple if construct. Here is a simple example. Here this program talks about the divisibility of a given number by 3. So first we'll try to understand what is happening here step by step. First, we are trying to get a user input. We are trying to get a user input. Okay. So here num is the variable that is going to take the user input and it is of type integer. So it is since we are going to check the divisibility property. So the default input for the Python is string. So we are making it as integer. And then we are writing the conditional control, that is simple if. We know the syntax if test expression. If the expression here is num, the input that we got, modulo operator 3 is equal to 0. If the given input or the input that is obtained from the user is divisible by 3, then we are going to print divisible by 3. Here you can observe the indentation being followed here. Okay, then we are going to print end of the program. Now let us see what happens. You can observe here, since 5 is the given input, we can see that 5 is not divisible by 3, so it is printing as end of the program. So this is how you write a simple if construct using the Python. Second is if else. So if else has two different parts. One is for true block and other is for the false block. Whenever the condition is true, then true block of statement is executed. If the condition is false, false block of statement is executed. This false block is represented in the else part. Again, you have to follow the indentation when we are writing the if else statement. Now let us understand this with an example. Here the input is finding whether the given mark is distinction or the user has not obtained the distinction. So again, marks is an integer. We are making it as specific to be integer over here and we are trying to get the input. And we are checking the condition. If the entered marks is greater than 75, we are going to print user secure distinction. Otherwise, we are going to print the user did not secure distinction. So we'll see how it is executed. So the user input here is 80. You can observe here 80. So after getting the user input, it comes over here. 80 is greater than 75. So it will check for the condition. Yes, 80 is greater than 75. So my output should be user secured distinction. Suppose what if I give a different input apart from 80? So the condition of not satisfied, the else part should be executed. So we'll just discuss one example for that. Suppose my user input is 50 here. So it will check the condition here. 50 is greater than 75. No, the condition is false. So it will come to the else block and it will print user did not secure distinction. So you can understand, I think it is clear that how to write the if else statement. So main thing you observe when you're writing is the indentation part when you're writing the if and else. Next is if elif. So if elif is again a it's a chain of if else if. Okay, so when we have to check multiple conditions, then we can go for this if elif else construct. Okay, here how do you write it? If test expression, that is a condition, then the body of the loop, then if this condition is false we can check multiple conditions, and finally we can write one else condition. So what we have to remember here is, again you have to observe the indentation in front of all the elif constructs. Okay, so if the condition, if all the condition of this elif is false, then finally this else part is executed. Okay, so it can have as many number of elif statements, but only one else block is allowed. Again, indentation is used for each of the elif block you are writing inside this construct. Let us understand this with an example. Again, we'll make marks as input. Okay, the type of input obtained is integer. We're going to check with the conditions with various elif statement. Okay, so let us take an input. The given input is 50. Now it will check 50 is greater than or equal to 90. No, the condition is false. So it will come and check to the second elif. Again 50 is greater than or equal to 75. No, the condition is false. Again it will come to this block. 50 is greater than or equal to 50. Yes, condition is true. So my output should be grade C. Okay, so if any of my input is not satisfying, suppose if I have secured 35 as my mark, then it will finally, after checking this elif, it will finally print grade as fail. That is, it will execute the else part as fail. Now we'll talk about the ternary operator. Ternary operator is otherwise called as a shorthand operator, or it is a simple another way of writing the if else statement. So how do I write it? Give the value first, then check for if true condition, else the false condition. So let us understand this with an example. Here we are having age as my input, that is, for example, we are taking it as 20, and we are setting the value to be adult, and we are checking the condition. If age is greater than or equal to 18, then you are going to print the status. If it is not, then you are going to print it as minor. Okay, so let us see an example. We know already the age is 20. Then we know the status has become adult now. Since it is 20, 20 is greater than or is equal to 18. So my output is going to be adult. If the condition is false here, suppose if my input is 15, then it is going to be minor. My output will be minor. Okay. Okay. Next we'll discuss about the looping statements. So what is the use of this looping statement? Looping statements are executed whenever we wanted to check a particular condition, or when we want to repeat certain set of statements, then we go for the looping statements. Generally we can write while and for loop in Python. Okay, so we'll see one by one. First is the while loop. How to write it? Syntax you have to follow: while condition, again follow the indentation. Whatever code block you wanted to execute, when the condition is true, you write the code of block over after the condition statement. Okay. Okay, first you check for the condition. If the value is true, then the body of the while is executed. Okay, the process continues, the loop continues until this particular condition becomes false. Again, as we discussed, the indentation plays a major role whenever we are writing the while condition. We'll see an example for this. Here you can see again it's a simple while loop program. So we'll see what happens step by step. So first you're asked to enter a user input. So the user input is of data type integer. We have made it specific over here. So my integer input is 5 over here. Okay, the next step what happens is my n is 5, that is over here. Then next step, sum is equal to 0. Then we are assigning I is equal to 2. Now from this step onwards, this loop has to run. What is the condition over here? 2 is less than or equal to 5. Yes, condition is true. So it comes over here. It needs to calculate the sum over here. Okay. Now, What is the value of sum? 0. What is the value of I? 2. So 0 plus 2 is 2. You can observe the sum value is 2 over here. Okay. Next, now I is equal to I plus 2. Already my I value is 2. 2 plus 2, I value is 4 now. Now again it will check 4 is less than or equal to 5. Yes, condition is true. Now again it has to calculate the sum. Already where sum value is 2. Now my I value is 4. 4 plus 2, it should be 6. Now again my I value should be incremented. Now it is already 4. Now if I add 2 to it, it will become 6. Now again it will check 6 is less than or equal to 5. No, condition is false. It comes out and prints the sum of even numbers is 6. Okay, so this is a simple while loop statement, how it gets executed. While is generally called the entry control loop because only if the condition is going to be true, then it gets inside this loop and it executes the loop. Otherwise it's going to come out of the loop. Okay, next, while with else block. So we have discussed only if with else block. Now we'll talk about while loop with the else block. Else is generally an optional statement in the while loop. The else part is executed if the condition in the while loop evaluates to false. Now it's evaluated false, it comes to the else block. The while can be terminated with a break statement. In such a case, else part is ignored. Suppose if you have a break statement over here, then it comes out of the loop and this else part is ignored. Let us take an example to understand this. Again, we're going to calculate the sum. So we'll understand this. Again, we're having an integer input which is stored in n. We can see the input obtained here is 5. User input is 5. So my 5, that is n value, will be assigned to INP, that is the input. Now n and INP has the same value, that is 5. Okay. Next we are making the value of I to be 1. Okay. Next we are making the value of s to be 0. Now comes the looping statement. Now what is the value of I? 1. What is the value of n? 5. 1 is less than 5? Yes. Condition is true. So it comes over here and executes this. It's going to calculate the s, that is the sum value. Okay. Now s is equal to s plus I and I is equal to I plus 1. So it performs. Already s is 0. S is 0. I is 1. So 0 plus 1, sum value is 1. Now the I value is incremented to 2. Now again it checks 2 is less than 5. Yes, condition is true. Now it calculates the sum. Now I value is 2. Sum value is already 1. So my sum value is 3 over here. After which my I becomes 3 over here. Okay. Now again checks 3 is less than or equal to 5. As condition is true. Again it calculates sum and I. So the value of sum becomes 6. Okay. 3 plus 3, 6. Now I becomes 4. Again check 4 is less than or equal to 5. As condition is true. Again it calculates sum and increments I value. Now the sum value becomes 6 plus 4, that is 10. I value becomes 5. 5 is less than or equal to 5. As condition is true. So it comes over here and calculates a sum, that is going to be 15. 10 plus 5, that is 15. Okay. Now when the I value is, I becomes 6. Okay. Now I is equal to, because we know the value of n is, what is n? 5. So when I becomes 6, control comes to the else block because condition is false. 6 is not less than 5. So it comes to the else block. So what happens? Now it will print the output. What it is going to check? If INP, what is INP? It is 5. We already know here. 5 is greater than or equal to 0. So we are going to print the sum is the positive value, that is 15. So this block, when it is false, it comes to the else part. So this is how your while loop with else works. Okay. Next we'll discuss about the for loop. For loop is used to iterate over a range of values. Okay, whenever you wanted to execute over a range of values, for example from 1 to 5, 1 to 10. So it's called as range of values. Then we go for the for loop. Okay, we use a loop counter to loop over and iterate over the loop. Okay, so every time we run over the loop, an unique value is generated. Okay, whenever the condition become false, the loop counter stops. Okay, also for loop construct can be termed as an entry control loop. Now how to write the for loop? Syntax: for variable, this variable is the user defined. We are going to use the in operator over here. This is a membership operator in the sequence. This sequence can be a string, it can be an list, tuple, anything. Then you're going to write the body of the loop. Again, main part, you have to follow the indentation over here. Okay, now let us take an example. Here is a program. Now what we said is this sequence can be anything, so we are taking a string as an example. So we are making one variable items equal to Python, and we are writing a variable index and initializing it to 0. Now we are going to run the loop. For item, this is a user defined variable. In items is the variable that stores a string. Okay, we're going to print index and then the corresponding item, and then we're incrementing the index every time to navigate throughout the entire string. So now what happens? Initially my item has Python, the full string. Next, every time I iterate, I have to generate one value from the string. Okay, so first time my index is 0, then it comes in. So when my index is 0, it's going to print P. Okay, now I'm incrementing my index, that is equal to 1. Okay, now it should print Y. Now again I increment, it's becoming 2. Now it's going to be printing T. Next I will increment my index to 3. Now it should print H. Now again my index will be incremented 4. After H it is O, so O will be printed. Now again I increment, it is 5. So again N will be printed. So it's looping over the entire string to get each and every time the loop iterates, every single character from the string is obtained and printed. When it becomes 6, now there is no more string to get executed, so it comes out of the loop. And finally we can observe the output as along with the index. In 0th index P is there, first index Y is there, second index T is there, third index H is there, fourth index O is there, and fifth index N is there. So this is how the for loop executes. Okay, now we'll see how to use the for loop along with the range function. Okay, as we discussed, for loop can be used within the particular range. Now we have written a simple for loop for I in range of 5. Okay, now again we have used the in operator over here. There is an indentation you have to follow here. Now what happens and how this get executed? So every time I iterate, the I value should be printed. So initially I value will be 0. Okay, then what happens? It should print I. Okay, then I value will be 1. It should print 1. I value will be 2. It should print 2. I value will be 3. It should print 3. I value is 4. It should print 4. Okay, now every time it iterates, it's going to print 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Because 5 is, because we know that in Python the index starts from 0, so 5 is 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So all the values are printed. Okay, now we'll see how this iterates over this string, how to use this and how to print it. Okay, we discussed one previous example, but we'll also discuss the same. Okay, what happens here? We have the word Python over here, so we're going to iterate over this complete string to print it. Okay, so first time it will be P, second time it will be Y, third time it will be T, then H, then O and N. So like this it gets printed, and finally it is printing Python. So we are printing here, we are not printing the index, we're just printing the characters. Okay, now we'll see for loop with else. So we discussed while loop with else. Now we'll discuss for loop with else. How to do this? Okay. Again, else is an optional block. So it is not necessary we have to write always. When the conditional sequence it is getting it is like when the conditional statement is false over here, it comes to this else block. Okay. Suppose if there is a break statement, then it always comes out of the loop. Let us see how this gets executed. Okay. So we're having for I in range of 1 to 5. So we know the I value will be 1, 2, 3, and 4. Every time I try to iterate, the value of I should be printed. Else the else block should be printed. Okay. First time when I is 1, now 1 is printed. Now again it will iterate. 2 is printed. Again it will iterate. 3 is printed. Again it will iterate. 4 is printed. So we know 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's done. So it has come to the else block now. So else block we have a print statement that is no break. Okay. So see that you you follow and understand that the else block will be executed during the execution of this. The execution stops over here. Okay. Now we'll discuss on break and continue. Okay. So what we discussed already is when you are using this break, if the condition is going to be true, then it comes out of this loop. Okay. That is what we discussed. So how does it happen? So we are ranging till 7. Okay. So we are ranging till 7. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, 6, 7 it should go. But we have a conditional check. If num is equal to 5, we are going to break and come out and print that num value. So how it gets executed? We'll start from 0. So first it will be 0. Then we'll check if num is equal 0 is equal to 5. No. So it again go back. It will take the next number, that is 1. Again 1 is equal to 5. No. Then we'll check 2. 2 is equal to 5. No. Then we'll check 3. 3 is equal to 5. No. Then we'll check 4. It's also not equal. Now comes 5. 5 is equal to 5. So we have a break statement here. So it comes out of the loop and print the value of sum, which is 5. Now we can see num is equal to 5 is executed, and you can see the num value is printed. This is with the break statement. Now for the same similar kind of program, we are going to make the range reducible reduce because we can't traverse till 7. So we can make it a little bit simple by giving 5. Now we have put a condition is num is equal to 2. We are going to skip that particular iteration and then we are going to continue over the loop. Okay, we'll see how it gets executed. Initially the value of num is 0. It's 0 is not equal to 2. Okay, then 1, it's going to print. Then comes 2. Okay, then comes 2. In this 2, num is equal to. So we know 2 is equal to 2. Now what happened? It's not going to go to the print statement, but it's going to continue. Then it will check for 3. Yes, it will come and print 3, and finally it will take 4. Okay, so it will print finally the 4. So the difference between break and continue is break statement comes out of the loop while the continue misses that particular iteration and prints the rest of the values inside the loop. I hope um, this session on the looping and conditional control statement is clear. Thank you.